Get started. Alrighty. Welcome, Los Altos parents. This is Senior Parent Night 2020. We are so excited to have you with us today. I think it's safe to say none of us could have even fathomed that we would be doing this virtually after last spring. And we are here, and we're happy we are able to be here with you virtually since we can't be there in person. And we're going to be sharing with you all the same information that we would have been sharing with you tonight in the Eagle Theater. I'm going to introduce our panelists now. I am Daphne Adler. I'm one of the counselors. We also have with us Deanna Mistel Ali and Jamise Parker, two of our other counselors. We have Angela Price, our college advisor, and we have Laura Duran, who's our brand new College Career Center coordinator, and we're thrilled to have her with us, and a couple of quiet counselors, Mr. Rojas and Ms. Wise, we are just really excited to share this info with you. So you are aware, we are recording this webinar tonight. This will be available for you. It's going to take a couple days, and then we'll have it up on the Los Altos Counseling website. It is a public file, and it will be available to anyone. We also will be taking questions. You can use the Q&A feature that you should have on your screen. We'll be answering them throughout, and then we'll have some time at the end as well to get to any questions that we haven't gotten to. And if there are any remaining questions that we do not get to in the webinar, we will have a log of those, and we will contact you by email. And we do ask that you keep your questions general and so that they pertain to everyone and not your individual student. And if you do have more specific questions, please feel free to reach out to your student's counselor or to the College Career Center staff, and we are more than happy to help you. So I'm now going to turn it over to Deanna Mistel Ali, and we're going to start our slide presentation. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome tonight. Thank you for being here with us. We have a lot of information to share with you, and we are excited and happy to have everyone here. So tonight, just a quick overview of what we're going to be discussing. We are going to be looking at we're going to be introducing the College and Career Center staff as well as the counseling staff. We're going to be doing an overview of the school counseling appointments and how those will be working with your students for senior year. We're also going to be discussing the letters of recommendation process, and we did share this with your students on Tuesday, so we'll be going and sharing that same information with you tonight. We'll be discussing resources and events pertaining to college and career center events, and then we'll also be discussing college planning for 4-year and 2-year options. So this is the Los Altos School Counseling team. You may recognize us by now. We are the same 7 who have been here for quite a bit now. So just from left to right, Daphne Adler, Jacob Lorraine, Tamisha Wise, myself, Deanna Mistel Ali, Ryan Carter, Jamise Parker, Ariel Rojas, and Maite Vero, our counseling secretary. We do have some exciting news. We have a counseling website, and it's linked here. So it's a new counseling website, and we hope that you will all check it out. There will be a lot of information posted on that website. Right now, for example, the letter of recommendation packet can be accessed there. We have a calendar of events. We have different newsletters. We have our virtual office hour links and things like that. So our College and Career Center, we have a new addition. Miss Laura Duran is taken over as our new College and Career Center coordinator. And above her, above her on this picture is Angela Price, our college advisor. They also have a new college and career website, so that's linked on these slides. And they are a great team. So they are accessible to our seniors throughout the year as well. And you'll be hearing a lot from them. So just an overview of what you can expect from your student's 12th grade counseling appointment. As you are accustomed to, there's an individual appointment each year, and that is going to continue for 12th grade. Parents are invited to attend. Of course, those are virtual now. They are taking place via Zoom, and those appointment links will be emailed out to you from the counseling secretary. Some of the topics that are going to be covered in the senior appointment. So we're going to review the transcript, the grad status report, and the A through G status. We're going to discuss post-secondary college plans. We're going to review relevant tools and resources in Naviance or online. And we're going to discuss the counselor letter of recommendation process and packet if applicable for your student. We also will be hosting virtual office hours Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 12:15 to 1 o'clock. And students can access those Zoom links on our website, and they're linked on these slides. And then, of course, there's ongoing communication via our counseling website, monthly newsletters, email, and Naviance messages. And I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Janice Barker to talk about letters of recommendation.
The letter of recommendation is one aspect of the college application. I'm going to be going over our role in that process and what your student can do to prepare. So most of the private colleges and some out-of-state public universities do require letters of rec, whether they be from a counselor or a teacher or both. And your students can check their college websites to determine whether or not that's required. The webinar that we just hosted on Tuesday went into depth about what the requirements will be for the counselor letter of rec packet. And as Ms. Nastelli mentioned, that information is going to be available on our counseling website, and the recording should be there soon. So within the packet, students will have a list of all the colleges they're applying to that require the counselor letter of rec, a survey that they've completed in Naviance, their resume, and feedback forms from a parent and a staff member. It's very important that your student adhere to the deadlines that we've set for the letter of rec packet, and that's so that we have enough time to write the letter and also submit it by their earliest deadline. If they are applying anywhere with a November 15th or sooner deadline, they should have their packet completed and sent to their counselor via email no later than September 15th. If they are applying anywhere with a deadline that's after November 15th, so that's November 16th or later, then their deadline is going to be no later than October 6th that they're submitting their packet to their counselor. And that final date that you see on the screen, December 11th, that's in regards to any changes that they make to their list. So if your student adds a college to their list after they've submitted their packet, they're going to want to make sure that they communicate that to their counselor so that we can make sure that we submit any of those materials to their colleges prior to the holiday break. We won't be available during that time period, that 2-week period. So if they have any deadlines that are January 1st or 2nd, they want to make sure that we know that. Otherwise, we would be waiting until just January 5th or later when we return to submit the letters. And now I'm going to hand it over to our new College and Career Center coordinator, Ms. Duran.
Hi, thank you for the introduction. I do want to say hello to everybody that's watching tonight. It is a pleasure to join the Los Altos High School community, and I look forward to working with you all and supporting you and your students through this process. Although it's my first year at Los Altos High School, it's my 11th year working at a public high school in this type of role. And so again, I'm really looking forward to supporting you all through the exciting ups and downs and twists and turns that might be coming in the future this year. As you can see, we have many resources, and I think our biggest challenge is just linking people to these resources. So we're trying in various ways, as mentioned, through Naviance. We have over 120 virtual college fairs, virtual college visits already scheduled on the calendar before the middle of November. And these visits are being set up outside of academic time, so students can attend without needing permission to miss class, and all grade levels are welcome this year. So I do encourage your students to look at the Naviance colleges that are visiting to sign up for those, or check the College and Career Center website for the events page. We're still maintaining a scholarship list. We have volunteer, internship, and job opportunities. The MVLA College Counseling Handbook is posted on the website. A new edition will be coming out hopefully by the end of November. And then we also are offering many virtual workshops, both for college essay writing. The UC and the CSUs will be coming to visit shortly, workshops on the Common App, and community college, international universities. We do have a rich library, you can see in my virtual background here, with physical books that students could use as resources. There's a possibility that we can check those out if you're interested in that. Otherwise, there are so many resources available online, and I'd be happy to help you and your student access those resources. Okay, so some upcoming nights, as mentioned, the CSU and UC night on September 14th at 6:30. We're planning on hosting that virtually. We have the International University Night on October 6th at 6:30, additional details to come out. Private College Night, October 22nd. Countdown to College, March 25th. Now, these events are TBD at this point, just for exact timing and dates, but keep your eyes peeled and we'll definitely be communicating that. And then same with financial aid. October 1st is when the FAFSA opens, so we're gonna start having workshop on September 29th, and then additional Cash for College opportunities following in October. Okay, back to how many virtual events there are. Due to the pandemic, colleges, esteemed organizations are putting a bunch of information together in a virtual context. And what I've been trying to do is add these events to a virtual events list, and I'm keeping them in chronological order. So if you click on that, you'll be able to see upcoming webinars that are being offered. There's too many to keep track of, but so I do recommend that you look at a college's website if your student is interested in a particular college. They're doing student panels or virtual college tours, various workshops, and there's just so many out there. Also, just to point out that the NACAC Virtual College Fair is on September 13th, October 12th and 18th, November 8th. Hundreds of colleges have already signed up to participate. And so both you and your students can register in advance, and then you can get those recordings. And for colleges that do track demonstrated interest, by having your student register for those, it will show that they attended and are interested in the college. Same for the Explore Virtual College Fair that's running September 15th through 19th, another set of opportunities for you and your student to get more information directly from the college representatives themselves. Yes, so Words with Win, and a wonderful way to stay informed. We are posting things in the weekly announcements on the LAHS website. If you go to the homepage at the very top center, there's a link that says Student News. That links you to the bulletin for the day. So again, on the LAHS website, if you go to Student News, that's where you can view the daily announcements. Please also check your emails. We'll be sending messages through Naviance. I've created an Instagram page for the College and Career Center, and I'm trying to keep that updated with information from college visits the day of, or just other important information that I think seniors and all grade level students might benefit from. So check that out. And then we also have the event calendar on the LAHS website. Tomorrow I'm going to be sending out our newsletter, and in there I'm going to share a link for you to subscribe to the College and Career Center events calendar, so that way you don't have to manually add all of these dates and times. You can just choose to add that to your own calendar. And please do check out both websites for the counseling department and the College and Career Center. And with that, I'm going to introduce my esteemed colleague, Miss Angela Price.
Hi, I want to say hi to all the parents and welcome you to our senior night as well. I am Angela Price. I've been the college advisor for Los Altos High School for the last 3 years. So I believe that our high school and our students are well represented in terms of counseling that they get from the beginning of our counselors working with them from 9th through 11th. So by the time I see them, they're in good shape. My role is to guide them and support them through this process. College planning doesn't start in the senior year. It started way back in 9th grade, as you know, when you started talking to their counselors about their 4-year plan. So our students have a plan. They've been following a plan. They've been following the A through G for forever, and they've done well in the A through G, which is the most important for every college, not just the UCs. I work with kids one-on-one, so I'll be doing that as well when I meet them. And I also answer questions from parents, and students are able to bring their parents to their college meeting as well. I think college planning is both with family and with students and with school support. So when we talk about sitting down with families and creating a master spreadsheet with deadlines and tasks, that's just to keep everyone on the same page. It gives everybody a voice in the beginning as students begin to craft their own ideas and make their wishes known about which college they would like to attend. We suggest that you do it as a family, not to make it something that's stressful, to make it something that's usual, that's easy and conversational. The same way you would talk about school starting or which classes to take. The same thing should happen with the college process. You should be able to talk about colleges, bring information to the table with your students, and listen to your students as they bring their information to it. We do want students in the driver's seat, but we do recognize that students are not buying the gas, that parents pay tuition, and their voice matters too. We're preparing the students for independence, but I wouldn't say we're preparing them for it. I think they already are prepared. I met a lot of our students prior to the pandemic, closing our school, and our kids are ready. They've done the hard work in the classroom. They've done the hard work in their community. I think they're ready for this. I think that kids get up and ready to come to school and ready to work. They did it during the spring as they prepared to go online and did virtual learning. I've been talking to our kids over the summer as well, and I can tell you, again, I'm very, very encouraged by what I've seen with the preparation over the summer. So I think that college planning is just going to be all of us sitting back, listening to what students have to say, making sure their voice is heard, finding out what matters to them in this process. And I think they will be able to guide them through. College advising is all individual. There, there it is, I'm sorry. You have options. We have options in the United States, many, many options. We are very fortunate to live in this country and have as many options for our children to choose from in terms of where they would like to begin their college career. In the US alone, California, 115 community colleges, 23 Cal States, 9 University of California campuses, 1,600 privates, and over 1,500 out of states. We are well resourced in the United States. We will never run out of colleges for kids to have choices in. So it really does matter that children recognize that they have many, many options and many choices within attending schools here in the States. Community college, fantastic. My husband went to community college, has a PhD from Cal now. I think that it doesn't matter where you start in terms of your education, it matters where you want to go. Community colleges were set up in the state of California to actually feed into the CSUs and the UCs. So when students attend a community college, they're actually taking classes that will move them forward in their 4-year institutions. Also, private schools do admit students from community college in California as well. California colleges have many options to transfer. California Promise helps our students who need extra financial support, tuition for 2 years for those students. There's pathways to transfer TAG program as well as the ATD for the CSUs. But either one of these programs, if you choose ADT for Cal State, you still will have more options. You can apply to any other Cal States you would like to apply to. You're not bound by these pathways. For the TAG program, a student can apply to all 4 schools that are in the TAG program, as well as any other UC they would like to choose. Total options in California Community College. There's no one pathway for a student to go. CSU applications. We have 23 campuses all up and down the state of California. equally able to give our students a great education. I always tell students that Cal State is the other state institution. The UCs are state campuses as well, but California State is the other state institution. Applications are due October 1. You apply through Cal State Apply. It's a very simple application. This year, students will only be adding in their academics, their grades, and their personal information. Testing is not required. Minimum 2.0 GPA, weighted GPA, 10th and 11th. No essays or recommendations. All grades are self-reported. And the portal is easy to access. And I think that it's going to be really a great opportunity for our kids to go online this year, because there is no SAT or ACT required. There's no more panic about having to put in a test score that will make a difference in the decision of admissions for you for the CSUs. I also like to talk about the EOP program. EOP has been around for a very long time in the Cal State University system-wide. It's for our low-income first-gen students. And it is a program that supports those students as they pursue their education, knowing that these students will not have had sometimes parents to rely on to support their education because their parents have often not gone to college, but the institutions provide for them. So I think it's a great program. We encourage all our first generation low-income students to include an EOP application as they apply to the CSUs. The difference is with the EOP applications that students will have to submit 4 statements. And we will help them with those statements. I help students with those statements all the time. They're easy to write. It's all about themselves. There's nothing tricky about it. And so that's the only addition to the Cal State application, is that for the EOP program, students will have to submit written documentation, statements of their background. The UCs. Well, 9 campuses, again, all up and down the state of California, all equally great in giving our kids an education. 1 application. Applications actually opened up August 1, and there are a lot of our students have already set their applications for the UC and set up their accounts already. And you apply to the University of California. No specific college in terms of writing information within the context of the application. Minimum 3.0, weighted GPA. I really want to make sure that parents hear that, because so often there is so much misinformation around. You need to have a 4.0 to get into the UCs. Every UC has admitted a student with a 3.0 weighted GPA. Every campus has done that. And yes, in our high school, it has been done as well. So I don't want any students to feel that they cannot apply to a UC if they have a weighted GPA of a 3.0. You certainly can apply, and you need to make your case by the other things in that application, like your personal insight questions. There are no letters of recommendation, except for UC Berkeley sometimes will ask for a letter of recommendation. They actually ask for 2 sometimes. Grades are self-reported. Some schools will, they can't, they suggest that you send your subject test, but this year, that's not even a suggestion. If you look on the websites, it will tell you that the UCs are not considering standardized testing. So that goes for every college within the UC system-wide. Create and check your UC application portals as often as you can, but I'll be working with students with that. We'll be having the UCSA workshops, and we'll be guiding them through how to make sure that they check in on their applications. Really, they don't have to check. The UCs will email you if they need something from you. And again, SATs are not required. ACTs are not required. And I say that having spoken to many UC admissions directors over the summer. They mean what they say. It is not going to be considered in the admissions of your student. Their grades will be considered. What they say about themselves will be considered. So really, I'm going to be working with kids to make sure that they demonstrate who they are through their personal insight questions, and making sure that their extracurriculars reflect what they've done in and out of high school. I think that, it's going to be great to see students sort of looked at in the terms of their character and the merit of their education that they received instead of testing. So I'm really excited about this year for our kids to be judged that way. Private out-of-state colleges, wow, we've got a lot of them. Most of them will appear on the Common App, over 900 campuses. The Coalition app has less than 160 colleges that have subscribed to the Coalition, so not many students apply to the Coalition app with the Coalition application. Some colleges will use their own applications through their websites, and students will get these little notices saying, if you use our application, you won't have to pay a fee. So there's a lot of incentives for smaller schools sometimes to allow students to submit an application through their own site. Georgetown is one of the more selective schools that will not be a part of the coalition or the Common App. They just will not drink the Kool-Aid. I've been after them for years, but Georgetown still holds on to their application. Counseling teacher recommendations are required, but we've been talking to our kids over the years about making connections with their teachers. The counselors know them well. This is someplace I think that we represent our students extremely well with our counselors and teacher recommendations. They know our kids. And so now it's a matter of kids just connecting with the teacher and the counselors and filling out the information and following through with the things they need to get done. But I think we do a great job at Los Altos High School in making sure our kids are well represented. Essays and personal statements are things that they will also have to submit. I will work with students and have been working with students individually on those, making sure that it's reflective of who they are. That's the single most important thing that out-of-state schools will be looking at as well. Testing requirements are going to be up and down. Most of the private schools have said they're not going to require testing this year, but each kid will have to check the websites. And if they're in doubt, just please have them email me and I will check it with them. Common App and Coalition, not much difference, you know, it's just a different subscription that some colleges have bought into the coalition as opposed to buying into the Common App. One application for all schools for the Common App, connected to Naviance. Coalition is not connected to Naviance. That's the one extra work that the student will have to do and notify the counselors that they will be doing, that they will be applying through the coalition. But you know, they do the same thing. I tell kids, if your college is on the Common App and also on the coalition, apply on the Common App. It's much easier. We're connected with Naviance. It makes the application much smoother. But if not, our counselors have worked with students with the coalition, and so have I. It will be fine. Financial aid. Well, FAFSA is going to be there for kids who need money. Loans and grants, middle class scholarship for the UCs, and some private schools. The CSS profile is something that's required by the private colleges. It opens up October 1st. All of the financial aid will open up October 1st. The FAFSA will as well. Scholarships, local, statewide, and national, all throughout the fall semester and some in the spring as well. And I would say if kids are interested in scholarships, to definitely contact Ms. Durant, because she will have a running list of scholarships throughout the fall that will be coming to our College and Career Center, especially for our students in Los Altos and in California as well. Every college has a net price calculator. You can put your numbers in for your income, and you can believe that when a figure comes out of the net price calculator, that is a genuine figure that the colleges will expect for you to pay. However, students also, when situations come up financially, you will be able to appeal and petition financial aid down the line. So when you get your financial aid offer, these are things that we will talk about. Mr. Rand will talk about it with you. I will talk about it with you and we'll help you. And you can compare your financial aid packages. I can say that most packages pretty much look the same, not much difference, because they're going off the same financial information for parents. WUI, my favorite. The Western Undergraduate Exchange is a great program for all of us living on the West Coast, the western part of the United States. They have decided that among the colleges that they will pay the same state fees for you to attend a college in California as you will in Nevada. As a matter of fact, it might be cheaper sometimes in Nevada for you to apply to a school in Nevada. But it's a great way for our kids in California to get a good bargain on education in terms of tuition and to be able to leave the state and not have to worry about paying exorbitant fees because you're out-of-state kid. You're treated as an in-state applicant, and that's really great for our students. There's minimum requirements. It does not apply to all majors. List of colleges and requirements will be found on the WUI site. I can tell you they're very simple to apply, the WUI schools are. And I think that it gives our students who really are thinking about applying to programs with STEMs or business, all of these schools are gonna have the same type of format that our Cal State University has too. Business schools are all throughout the programs, and so are engineering programs, large science and STEM divisions. So it gives our kids another option without having an extra fee. And now Daphne Adler will talk to you about international universities. Hi, Daphne.
Hi, and hello again, everyone. So in addition to the many, many options that you just heard about in the US, another choice that students can consider is applying to universities abroad. And this is not super well explored by American students, but is kind of a growing idea. For most people, in the beginning, it sounds very like big, scary, overwhelming, ambiguous, must cost a fortune, must be really difficult. And the reality is it's actually very approachable and affordable, which just doesn't seem right, but it really, really is. And so we are exploring this more as a school and are planning a series of really exciting events coming up to help our families understand more about options abroad. And remember that it doesn't have to be an either or, domestic or international. Students can apply both and have lots of choices. So our international event series is going to be taking place through the month of October. We are calling that International University Month, and we're going to have a variety of college rep visits from international schools. We're going to have workshops that will be more general, like, you know, the affordability piece and like how to thrive abroad in terms of like practical tips, things like that. And then more specific workshops, for example, UCAS, which is the application for universities in the UK. It's a very different application and a very different essay than the American schools. We'll have a workshop focused on that and many other ones as well. So there are many advantages to considering studying internationally. So in a lot of countries, particularly in Europe, a full degree costs a fraction of what we pay here, particularly for a private school. And that includes living and travel expenses. So for example, here, if a private college would cost you about 70, 80 grand a year for everything, you would be paying half, if not less, per year for a university in Europe. Also, degree programs are shorter. So in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, programs are 3 years. So that already cuts, 25% of your tuition, and programs are just structured differently. So if you attend some of our events in October, you'll learn much more about how that works. There are also some really, really neat opportunities for dual degree programs. So if an undergraduate is like 3 years, you tack on a year and you get a master's or an honors degree, or there might be a 4+1 where you get the 2 degrees. And then also a really cool thing that they do there is direct entry versus here, for example, med school or law school, you do undergraduate, you have to do all the requirements. You then take another set of grueling tests to get into med school and law school. And in many countries in Europe, you just go directly into medicine or law or veterinary, and you're studying that from day one. So it's much shorter as well. So really just kind of neat, differences in the structure. In addition to all that, just the experience of the exposure to international work opportunities, professional contacts, being immersed in other languages and cultures, it's such a magnificent learning experience in multiple ways for your students. So really, really neat thing to think about. Students also learn to be more independent adults more quickly because they're going to be a little far from home and they have to kind of think on their feet and negotiate their daily lives there. And it's a great choice too for students who want something a little different from the traditional American college experience. There are going to be some things that are similar and there are going to be some things that are very different and, kind of pros and cons for students, and they're going to all think about that a little bit differently. And lastly about this, I want to mention, we just heard Angela speak about all these different options, and we're talking about, GPA and testing and the selectivity of colleges. And one of the really, really neat things about considering applying abroad is that the systems are very different. And first of all, many schools are coveting American students, like actively recruiting American students. And so oftentimes it's easier to get into very prestigious world-renowned universities abroad. It's easier for American students to get in than their own domestic students sometimes. It's it's like an advantage for our students. And it's a way to kind of step out of the admission game that we have here in the States. Some of admissions is a bit obscure here, right? And for example, again, in the UK, they will tell you very clearly, and same in Canada and in many other countries, you need X minimum GPA and these types of tests or classes. And if you meet those requirements and you don't completely bomb your essay, you pretty much know where you're going to get in. And that's a huge relief to have a few schools like that on your list. So many reasons to consider this. So we're going to have much more information coming, and students can ask their counselors as well. All right. So what should students be doing now? So first of all, we know this is a lot. We know this can be overwhelming and just sort of a big mountain of things to do and to think about and sort through. So we really want our students to kind of take a breath, take a step back when they're feeling nervous or anxious or overwhelmed. This process will come together. Keys to that are organization, time management, and self-care. You know, if they're doing those things and they're kind of breaking up this process into little pieces, they're going to be okay and they're going to get through this. For senior year, it's very important to maintain their progress on their A through G courses and get good grades, no D's or F's, period. It's really important, and particularly in this year where we didn't have the grades from last spring and we don't have the test scores most of the time. This semester is quite important. Students should also be reviewing the requirements for their schools on their college list. So as Angela said, make sure that you're aware of whatever their testing policy is and any other requirements. You don't want any surprises at the end of the process, like there was another supplement essay that they didn't realize they had. So like they need to go into their Common App and look really, really carefully at whether the school has supplements, and they're kind of hidden in different places on there. So to review that very thoroughly. They need to complete their Naviance Counselor of letter of recommendation materials pretty soon. So we had our webinar on Tuesday for students, which will also be up on the counseling website in the near future, and that goes through all the instructions. There's a packet that they need to be downloading, as you heard before, and you also got the deadline, so make sure to support your students and get in their materials in on time for that. For teacher recs, they should be asking 1 to 2 teachers kind of now if they haven't already, ASAP, because sometimes teachers will limit the numbers that they're going to write, and so you want students to have their choice. And lastly, checking email. This is very important, and then Canvas as well now. Email is very important because colleges will communicate with students one of 2 ways. So email or their portals. Once a student applies, the college will let you know how they're going to communicate information. So they may email you later and say, hey, we're missing letter of rec, we're missing your transcript, whatever it is. And the student needs to respond to that and provide them whatever it is that they're missing. And then with portals, also they need to be checking that, because sometimes the college is not going to proactively contact the student, and they're going to assume that the student is checking their application portal. And it is always the student's responsibility to make sure that their application is complete. Oftentimes the college is not going to start reviewing the student's materials until they have everything, which would be the student's part, the counselor's part, teacher letters if that's required, etc. And so those things kind of filter in from different places. So it is a good idea to err on the side of caution and for students to confirm that everything is complete. Next, students should be using a professional sounding email address for college communications, such as, first name dot last name at Gmail, or anything similar to that. It just presents a good, good impression. As a burgeoning adult, we recommend that. And they may even have a separate email address altogether for their college stuff so that they don't miss communications that are in their full inbox or junk or anything like that. And related to that, social media. We cannot tell you how important this is. Students really need to be careful about what they're posting on social media. Colleges these days are communicating with students and interacting with students a lot through their Instagram, through Twitter, through other platforms. The colleges know that that's where students are. That's where they're living online now. And so they are communicating with them there. And the colleges can and do rescind admission. If they find out something, offensive that a student has posted, things have made the news about that, and you don't want that to be your student. So we really, really, really want to stress how important this is. They need to be very careful what they are posting, and set everything to private, but just err on the side of caution. All right. So that is it for our presentation. We're going to now open it up for questions. We've been diligently trying to type in questions, and we have a few more left, and feel free to keep adding, and we will start answering those. I'm going to turn it back over to Deanna.
Okay, so we'll have the panelists all come back to help answer the questions. If we're not able to get to the rest of the questions tonight, there will be a transcript with your email addresses so we can follow up via email. So there's a question about, it says, do kids graduating in 2021 have less of a chance because many of 2020 freshmen deferred? Does UC in specific allow freshmen to defer their attendance by a year without penalty? So I think this would be a good one for Ms. Price to answer.
Okay. UCs normally do not allow any defers. So I think that's going to be something they're going to have to address, because as a state institution, they usually do not let kids normally defer. Private schools do more of that. So I would imagine that that this year they allow some of that, but they're going to make some decisions beginning next year about how they're going to allocate defers if they do defers. But I think it's just not quite decided yet for the next class. We'll just have to wait and see, but normally they do not defer in the UCs, and students are going virtual. So I would imagine that students are going virtual. They made their freshman class this year. So there will be kids that are going to be sophomores, and so I think that there will be space in the in the freshman class. They haven't told us yet, but this is something they will ask the UCs when they have their meeting with us in the coming weeks. We're going to have a UC conference soon, and then we'll ask that question, and I'll get back to you if I find something different.
Thank you, Ms. Price. There is a question about it says, Los Gatos High School is now hosting SAT Day for their own seniors. I've heard San Mateo is also making it happen. Why is MVLA not hosting a school test day? This would be a huge disadvantage for our seniors.
Well, I did talk to the person who did our testing before she got promoted. And what she told me was that they were adhering to the Santa Clara guidelines for testing. And because there was no guarantee that they could protect kids from COVID-19 within the testing site, if the school itself is closed and Los Altos is closed, we're doing virtual only because we are not able to, to protect our kids from COVID-19. It's not safe. So it would be unsafe for a test to take place there as well. But I also can tell you that as far as I know, and the conversations I've had with private schools, very selective schools, as well as all the UC campuses, there would be no disadvantage for kids not producing a test this year. A lot of children are going to be admitted to very good schools with no testing under their belt. If you are concerned about a particular college, please don't hesitate to send me an email. But there will be no disadvantage for children because they don't have testing.
Thank you. Will students know when transcripts need to be turned in and how? Ms. Parker, would you like to take this one?
The students will want to look at their colleges that they're applying to, the application deadlines. So that's when the transcripts are typically due. They can submit a request through Naviance for any transcripts. I think that about covers it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that what happens, the UCs won't want them to the end, the CSUs won't want them to the end either, but private schools, because counselors will submit those transcripts when they write their council recommendations. So colleges will have some transcripts when they're required to make an admission decision, because the counselors will upload those transcripts in with their counseling recommendations for private schools. Only the UCs and the CSUs will not want a transcript until the end, after the student has made their decision to which campus they will attend, and the student will send a transcript, a final transcript, to the UC or CSUs. But all privates will want those transcripts with the council recommendations. So.
Thank you. The next one's about teacher letters of rec. What if we are not hearing back from teachers on letters of recommendation despite asking in spring and sending multiple reminders? Ms. Adler?
Sure. I mean, you know, teachers kind of have their own process. Counselors are not responsible or connected to teacher letters. So, you know, students really just have to reach their teachers. They may honestly take that as a sign that they should ask someone else sometimes. But please keep in mind that everybody is really inundated right now with email. And so it is taking people just across the board longer to respond. But it really is up to the teacher. Yeah, we don't have any role in making sure a teacher responds about letters of rec.
Thank you. The next question is, do you have the list of dates when the essay writing workshops will be conducted? Ms. Duran, do you have that information?
We don't have specific dates for when the workshops will happen, but we are hosting Workshop Wednesdays, and on the calendar there'll be a little link with the title next to it, but we will publish those soon. Thank you.
And the tutorial center should be coming out with the essay writing workshop dates as well on their website. And we'll be sharing that information as it comes out. This question says, could you please repeat what you mentioned about the September 15th deadline for letters of recommendation? So that September 15th deadline is for students who are applying early action or early decision. So they have a college deadline of November 15th or November 1st. They need to turn their counselor letter of recommendation packet into their counselor by September 15th. This question is asking if we can put up the slide that showed when the applications are due. So we will get back to that. We're also going to post this presentation on our counseling website. So all of these hyperlinks will be available, and the entire slide presentation and webinar will be available. Will first quarter grades appear on initial transcript? Janice, Ms. Parker.
So the transcript only includes semester grades. If your student's applying somewhere and that college has requested first quarter grades, they should contact their counselor so that we can submit them. We don't automatically send first quarter grades, only if they're requested from the college or university.
Thank you. This is a good one for Ms. Price. Should parents take a more active role in the application process? Should we have colleges communicate directly with parents, as there seems to be a lot of administrative work involved for the students to take on top of their existing school workload?
The short answer is no. Parents cannot communicate directly with the colleges. Colleges want to hear from students. However, when your student makes an appointment to see me, we certainly can go over some of the requirements and things that students have to do, and you know, just make sure that your student is aware of what their responsibility is, and I will help them too. We help the students with their applications. We review applications. It's not a lot of administrative work that kids actually have to do. They have to write essays and fill in the blanks. They do have to write descriptions of extracurricular activities. I will help them with that. Mr. Rand will help them with that. So we will have a lot of support at Los Altos to help kids with the application process. I think the best thing to do is make sure your students sign up for a workshop, the application workshop or application or essay workshop, so we will be able to work with them. But no, colleges do not respond to parents. They do not want parents contacting them.
Thank you. This is for Ms. Adler. If your child is ready to apply to a European school before the end of October, can your guidance counselor help with questions, etc.?
We'll certainly try to the best of our ability. By when was the date? Early October? Can you repeat that?
End of October.
Oh, end of October. Most of them are not that early, but certainly it's possible. So I would say first stop counselor and or college career center, and we'll kind of route you to the right person. And honestly, for international schools, this is quite new for us as well. So this is a learning curve for us. And what you will probably want to do is to contact the international admission office for that school. Another wonderful benefit to applying abroad is that each school has either a dedicated international admission office for international students, or just within their admission office, they have staff specifically for international applicants. So either way, they have people that are like just for international students, and it's a very personalized process because they want students and their parents to be comfortable with this. They know this is a huge decision and a huge distance, and so they're generally really wonderful about communicating with you. They will Zoom with you and answer any questions that you have. So I would say reach out to your counselor, and then we'll kind of help refer you from there for whatever you need to know.
Thank you. Ms. Price, is doing a 2-year community college followed by a 2-year state college perceived as inferior to a 4-year state college?
Absolutely not. Your college education, whether you start at a private school or a public school, is your education. No one will look down on the education that you receive. You will be an educated person with a bachelor's degree to do whatever you want to do in your profession. So absolutely not. There is no distinction between education that is metered out in state schools, whether it's a UC or a CSU or a private institution. I think that every student is different, every school is different, and you will be successful and you will move on with your background in the education that you gained from your institution. No one will perceive it as lesser than. So absolutely not.
Thank you. This is for you again. With UCs no longer considering test scores and many test centers closed, do you have any advice for students who had hoped to improve their chances with high test scores?
The UCs, in all honesty, have never, ever considered test scores as a #1 decision factor in making their admissions decisions. They've always relied on the academic record and the A through G classes in California. The second thing that they look at is what the student have to say about themselves. Those 4 essays that the students are required to write, I would say have your student really focus on them and make sure that they're articulating their passion, their character, and answering the prompt. It's very important that they do that in the UCs. The second thing they can do is make sure the extracurriculars reflect who they are. The UCs will look at everything that they bring to the table. Testing has always been the last thing, and now it's not considered at all. So there's no way your student could have improved their chances by taking the test anyways at this point. So the best thing they could do is essays, extracurriculars, and hopefully they have a great academic record from 10th and 11th, because that's where the academics come from for the UCs. So that's how they can improve their chance, by their writing and by indicating what they spent their time with in high school.
Thank you. Ms. Adler is going to be answering the question about the examples of international universities our students have applied to in the past. So she was going to type that answer. What is the format for requesting the letter of recommendation from counselors? I can answer that. We have a packet that needs to be done by the students, and the packet is on our school counseling website. I sent it out to the students yesterday, and it was presented on Tuesday to the seniors. And so that packet of information is what we're asking the students to complete, along with a few other pieces that are listed in there, such as a resume and filling out the counselor letter of recommendation questionnaire. When a school asks for 1 required recommendation, 2 optional, what is the best practice? Send 2. Ms. Price.
Oh, well, when they ask for 1, I hate to tell you, they only want 1. I did college admissions, and our school wanted 2, and we read only 2, even though kids sent 4. So when they ask for 1, you send them 1.
Thank you. So this is saying, I heard a number of students opted to take a gap year this year. Does that make this year's seniors' options to get into colleges more competitive, crowded?
I think that unless the colleges have decided, I guess that one's for me, unless the colleges have decided to lower their freshman class admissions, then it wouldn't make it more competitive. I believe that the UCs have space in their freshman class for 6,000 students, and unless they're saying that they're going to admit less freshmen, then that's the only way it would be affected. But as far as I've heard, the freshman admit number has not been lowered by the UCs, so they will be admitting the same amount of students in the freshman class. So I'll be listening and keeping my ear to the ground to see if freshman admissions numbers are lowered, and then then we'll know that they won't be able to accommodate all the kids. But as long as they're still admitting the same amount of freshmen in their freshman upcoming class, then we know that a university will accommodate them.
Thank you. This one's from Ms. Parker. For the UC application, you have to enter your grades throughout 9 through 12. Do the students additionally also have to send an official transcript separately?
So for the UCs, it's all self-reported. I have not encountered them requesting an official transcript until they've been admitted and decide to attend. So that's the final transcripts at the end of the academic year. So it's all self-reported. If they need any extra information, they would reach out to your student via the portal.
This one's for Ms. Price. How was the application results for the 2020 LAHS graduates? LAHS graduates, do you see any trends or changes that may help the seniors this year?
I think that our kids did really well. You know, UCLA and UC Berkeley are always the tough ones, and we always come somewhere, you know, in the lower number of 15, I think at UC Berkeley, and then maybe 11 or 13 at UCLA, but all the other UCs, we did really well. At all the CSUs, we did really well. Above 40 and 50 of our applicants were getting in. Private schools, it depends. If the private schools that kids are put on their list is UPenn, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton, then very few, between 1 and 2. But if they're put in schools like University of Wisconsin or University of Oregon, then they're getting in, or Chapman or Occidental. So it all depends on the college that students are applying to. But I noticed that our kids did really well. And I think that this year, what I'm asking kids to really think about is what they're writing, how they're articulating who they are, their character, the things that they care about. These are the things that colleges will be paying close attention to. So I do believe that the trends will be that they will be looking more at what we used to call in college admission is the texture of what students bring to the campus. It's besides academics, it's what you think, what you've seen, what you want to get involved in, you know, your own passions for the world and your worldview. These are things that are going to be really important to college campuses, because this year, I think, not only did we see the pandemic, but we also saw a very big difference in social trends, and college is looking at diversity. They're looking at social justice, equity. There's a lot of things that they're going to be looking at these kids and wanting them to be a part of their community. So they're going to have a broader brush this year at how they're looking at students. And if students can just step outside themselves for a minute and think about the things they care about and can articulate that clearly in their essays, I think that that's where our kids are going to come out doing really well. And I think those are the trends that's going to be coming this year. It will not be a test, a quantitative test that can do it for colleges that looked at that strongly. They're going to have to look at things that cannot be quantified with a number. And they're going to be looking at character and things outside that students have put their time into and how they care about things.
Thank you, Ms. Price. That was a great way to end our presentation today. Well said. So thank you everyone for joining us. For those questions that we did not get to, we will follow up with you. We do have your email addresses linked, and we will have the webinar and the slides, this presentation available on the counseling website shortly. So thanks again, everyone, and we hope to see you all in person soon.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.